has taken 54 minutes, 14 FaceTimes, 3 text messages from my phone, another 30 from Patrick. But without further ado, we have the one and only Jim Dunaway joining the show here on South.
Contractually, I said I would only be in the first hour. I didn't want to do hour 2. If I couldn't be in hour 1, I didn't want to be in the show. So.
And we will make sure that Patrick gets the Venmo sent over right at the end of this program. Jim Dunaway, a friend of the show. And when we say friend of the show, I say friend of the show often when I introduce everybody. This guy, I mean it. I mean it. Not that I don't mean it for others, but no question. It's best friend of the show for this one. JD, good afternoon at this point. We appreciate all of your efforts in joining us today. And of course, you do a great job there in Birmingham, have for a long time. It's been a very busy last few hours, especially around the SEC. How's your Monday going?
It's going great. Now that I'm, as a lifetime Mac user, I'm signed in. I'm ready to go, so I'm excited. It's been fun. I first heard about the plan here at Auburn, ironically, back during Alabama-Wisconsin football weekend, where somebody told me that, hey, Bruce is going to step down likely before the season starts. And I was like, I thought we were past that. And they were like, no, it's likely going to happen if they can get the deal worked out for Steven. And so it's all worked out. And boy, if I'm an Auburn basketball fan, guys, I'm fired up about this. I mean, you want Bruce to keep going, but you knew, and I'm sure you guys have already discussed this, you knew eventually the end was closer. It was coming. Everybody ages out at some point. And so what's the transition? And the coaching staff that's been there, between Mike and Steven, the offensive and defensive coordinators, they've been doing a lot of work prepping for this time over the last few years. And Bruce has been turning over more and more of the day-to-day operations to those two guys, Bergmaster and Pearl. And this is just a perfect transition, I think, if you're an Auburn fan, to want to keep what has been going on the last 11 years to keep it moving forward.
When you think about Bruce Pearl, not just at Auburn, but also in Tennessee, and then in the gap years when he was in television, it just felt like at every turn he's just been killing it. He's just been doing such a great job in general. When you think about just what he means to the SEC, what he has meant to college basketball, how will you remember him before we speculate about his future?
I would say he's just a really good individual.
Yeah.
I would start with that. He lost his coaching gig at Tennessee for what seems like an asinine rule nowadays for a barbecue. And he had a really good program going there. And, he accepted what happened to him at Tennessee. And he accepted responsibility. And I really got to know Bruce during that time when he was off, because I was doing radio here in Birmingham at the time. And he reached out to Ryan Brown and myself, and he's like, listen, I don't want to charge you guys, and I don't want to give too much information, but he says, I want to come on weekly with you guys. I want Commissioner Mike Slive to know that I'm willing to work to get back in good graces with everyone in the Southeastern Conference. And I think he knew that a job would be opening up either in Tuscaloosa or at Auburn at some point. So being on the airwaves in Birmingham was a good thing. But more specifically, he knew the SEC commissioner listened to our show and on his way into work. And he knew that when he was on the show that Bruce Pearl, the guy who wanted another chance, would still be at the front of mind. And he took that opportunity when he had it to take the Auburn job, and he hit the ground running. Guys, I will promise there is no doubt in my mind, Auburn basketball was the absolute worst job in the SEC, and it was one of the worst jobs in college basketball, considering everything around it. They played in a mausoleum with no fan base that would go to the games, especially midweek, and he turned it into one of the, if not the toughest tickets in college basketball. He went to 2 Final Fours, and he did that. He did that at a quote-unquote football school. Yeah. He did an amazing job, and in all of sports, not just college basketball, not just in the SEC, you look at what he ended up doing with Auburn and where their place, their real estate, Baltic Avenue of monopoly of sports, and turned them into what Auburn basketball is now. I mean, you can go to any Major League Baseball, NFL, NHL, NBA, college football, it is right up there with what Frank Beamer did to Virginia Tech to turn Auburn basketball into what it is now.
Yeah, and you see him there, Jordan-Hare Stadium, giving high fives. I mean, like you said, this is a guy who, from a media perspective, has done a lot for a lot of people's careers. I mean, I can speak for myself personally. I know our good friend Maria Martin has said a lot about what he's done. I mean, in a lot of ways, if there's people, if I had to name a list of folks who have like poured into my career, like you would be on the list, and guys like Bruce Pearl would be on the list in different capacities, but in the way of like, hey, like it's okay to kind of, you know, see the person who's aside you or below you, so to speak, and help them get a ladder or two or a step up, and a ton of respect for folks like that. And it makes you think, okay, what is next? What is going to be next for a guy who seems to have a lot of energy on the bench? You know, this is a guy who's like, doesn't seem like he's the retirement side of, hey, him going and hanging it up. I know he's going to roll into a different role there at Auburn. They announced that in terms of like the administrative stuff, kind of similar to what maybe Nick Saban has done there at Alabama. But any guesses on what the future looks like?
Well, you guys know, as a C student, I minored in public relations. Okay, so you don't announce your retirement. You don't announce your son as the head coach and announce that I'm running for the U.S. Senate all in the same day. Right? You don't do
Accurate.
that. Okay.
Yes.
So yeah. I've announced my retirement now, and Stephen is the 5-year contract new head coach. He's not the interim; he's the new head coach.
Yep.
So at some point, if he is going to run for U.S. Senate, you announce that at a later date, because as West Wing taught all of us in the 90s, you don't want to fold a bunch of stuff into one news cycle. You want to spread that out. But if he doesn't choose to do that, which is a possibility, I mean, sure, it could be a very expensive Senate race if he chooses to get in, and maybe the money wants to go somewhere else. I'm not into politics. If he chooses not to do that, Bruce has a laundry list of things that he wants to do with his faith. His religious beliefs that he wants to contribute through that in the world. And that always has been, before the Senate opportunity was ever in the conversation, Bruce Pearl's final chapters were always going to be about his faith and giving back and pouring in, as you used that phrase earlier, not only into his faith, but through his faith into other people. So if he chooses to announce next week, we'll say, if he chooses to announce next week that he's running for the U.S. Senate, or in 2 weeks, then he is.
Yeah.
But if he chooses to just do the religious thing and pour into different communities faith-wise, then Bruce Pearl will be very good at that. But one thing you can count on is that he will be the best sounding board for the new head coach at Auburn, because he literally is a father figure to that guy, because it's his son. So, you know, some of these guys who, you know, want to say Nick Saban's doing everything he can to help Kalen DeBoer, but it's not Kalen Saban, right? So, you know, Nick Saban's still going to do Nick Saban things and help Kalen DeBoer when Kalen asks for it.
Yeah.
Bruce is still going to be Stephen Pearl's dad, so he's gonna help Stephen when Stephen asks for it, and good chance are, we've all got dads.
Yeah, he'll give him advice anyway.
That's right. He's going to help Stephen even when Stephen doesn't ask for it.
And you know what, Dunaway? You and Bruce Pearl have that in common too, actually. Neither one of you are my dad, but you trying to give me some you trying to give me input on my life anyway.
Yeah, I've already offered 2 other ways to do interviews on your show today. Different apps.
We're gonna find one to make it work. Dunaway, while we've got you, wanna chat really quick, just if we can, about the semi-permanent schedule release that was out there from the SEC today. Just initial thoughts, if any, about kind of what it is that we're looking like. Now, our first graphic has both Alabama and Auburn on it. Of course, we knew the Iron Bowl, and we knew what 1 and 2 were going to be for both teams. What are your thoughts on number 3 for both the Tide and the Tigers?
Well, I mean, for Auburn, this point in history, if you've got Alabama and Georgia, I mean, that's traditionally 2 of the toughest teams in the country. So you deserve a Vanderbilt there. For Alabama, Auburn, Tennessee, I'm surprised that Mississippi State's on there because of the TV partners. LSU has been TV gold for the last 17 years. It's always been a highly rated game, even before Nick Saban got there, all the way back to Bear Bryant in those days back there. LSU Alabama was a big game. So I'm surprised a little bit from the TV partners. But what I keep trying to warn people, and I've done this since we announced we were going to 9 games or hinted at it, is that those 3 games are the permanent games.
Yeah.
They're not your schedule. So if you think, I don't know, Tennessee, since they've got Alabama, Kentucky, and Vanderbilt, you think, oh, Tennessee's getting off easy. Well, they're going to have 6 other games to go with those 3.
Yeah.
And no matter how you slice it, if you've got easy games in your permanent, that means, oh, by the way, your other 6 are going to be hard because there's no dodging who the good teams are. And you're going to play 9 games and rotate through these home and away through the whole league every 4 years. And they've also built in the ability that these are not quote unquote permanent rivals. They're every 4 years.
Yeah.
So every 4 years, we're going to revisit this. And if all of a sudden, if, Diego Pavia gets his 12th and 13th year of eligibility and Vandy stays good forever, then Vandy may rotate off of somebody's schedule and they keep dividing things up. So they're building in some nuance to keep these moving around. But this is the best way to keep rivals, which is so important in the Southeastern Conference, even for newcomers like Texas, to be able to have Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and now Arkansas. I would picture that never changing for Texas. Yeah. Those are the 3 that Texas people care about, and that takes them back to their roots.
Yep, good stuff. Jim Dunaway joining us there from Birmingham, host, of course, of the Next Round, a good friend of the show, longtime co-anchor. I had to, feel like I had to pretty much carry you most of the days we were up there, Dunaway. So
yeah,
you're welcome for that, man.
What I love about this is it took me 78 minutes to sign in, and we're only going to do 5 minutes.
It's only because we have 2 other guests that are back to back, but no worries. You have my login to get you on here, and we're coming back to you whenever it is that you'll say yes, which hopefully is often.
All right. Thank you guys for having me. I'm glad I could be the old guy today.
Dunaway, we appreciate you as always, sir, and we'll check back in with you as the SEC slate continues.
Okay.
Thanks, Jim.
Good stuff. Jim Dunaway, the Next Round, BFF. Mad because he's only on 15 minutes. Listen, I would have him on for 2 hours if we knew how to log into Teams earlier.